Welcome to this week's edition of Inside the Locker Room. I'm Gabe Farias.
And I'm Johnny Walker.
And this week we're going to be continuing our conversation on the NCAA College Basketball FBI Probe. We're also, Johnny, going to be talking about the XFL and whether or not it will work this time around.
We'll also be closing it out talking about the NFL Combine. All that and more on Inside the Locker Room.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African-American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
And welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Gabe Farias and Johnny Walker.
Yes, sir.
He hate me. Remember that?
Yes, I do. I remember that. Yes.
It was the name of an athlete that played. I don't even remember the guy's name.
No.
But on the back of his jersey, it said, he hate me. He played for the XFL back in 2001. Vince McMahon from the World Wrestling Entertainment Group said, we're getting into professional football, and then realized there's a lot more to getting into the professional football world than just saying you're going to do it. They put a product on the field that was initially kind of entertaining. They did some non-traditional things, like instead of a coin flip, they'd get two of the fastest athletes to run and try and see who would recover a football after running like 40 yards. They combined the world of wrestling. They combined The Rock, Big Show, those guys. The Rock, who, by the way, Dwayne Johnson was a University of Miami college athlete. So they try to combine the world of wrestling and the world of professional football and the world of entertainment. And there was one problem of that. Nobody watched it. And the football league folded after 1 year. Fast forward to 2017, 2018, Vince McMahon comes back and says, we're going to give it another go. Do you think the XFL will work this time versus last time?
No, it's not going to work. Bottom line, because, and here's the thing, the way that everything was set up, and it was kind of gimmicky. So it was very gimmicky. And I don't think that they're going to differentiate from that. Again, I think they're going to try to do the same thing. And what they need to realize is that when you do that, you take away from the bottom line, because people want to see good football. We're used to seeing that. We're used to seeing that. You see the NFL, you get caught up in your teams, you see the play. If the XFL is going to come out trying to come with that same concept, coming up with all these different little gimmicks that they had, nobody's going to want to watch it, and it's not going to make it again. It's going to fail.
It was very gimmicky. I believe Los Angeles won the initial XFL title, but it gave guys like, let's say, Johnny Manziel. A guy like specifically Johnny Manziel, gives him a chance. If a guy like Johnny Manziel is playing in this league, people are going to watch. Do you think that in 2001, we weren't quite ready as far as the Facebook era? This is another conversation, another topic for another show, but we weren't in the social media kind of world. We weren't in the world of Twitter. We weren't in the world of Facebook. We weren't in the world of Instagram. Do you think that those social media nuances combined with athletes that we know people are going to watch gives this league a chance, or is it's doomed because of who's running it?
It's doomed because of who's running it. And unfortunately, Vince McMahon...
Are you not a wrestling fan?
No, I love wrestling. But there's wrestling and then there's professional football. And I don't think that you can combine the two. I think the closest that we ever had to having a organization that was close to being like the NFL, and that was the United States Football League. And I think the way they ran it and what they did was the concept that you want to use to try to make that work. The XFL is just not going to work. Now, if they collaborate with the NFL, then it gives it some credibility. But as long as it's something that Vince McMahon is putting on the table, I'm looking to see who jumps from the top rope. I mean, I don't care.
Was that a pun? That was an intended pun, wasn't it?
Who's in the cage match? I mean, it would be hard for me to separate the two, and I think that was the biggest problem that XFL had then, and that's going to be the same problem that they're going to have now.
Okay, I don't necessarily, and I think in your heart you don't necessarily agree with this, but do you think that the lay fan, the common fan, will look at this, who loves football, who loves wrestling, who says, I know wrestling is fake, which means this product is probably going to have some fake to it too, even though I think
no credibility.
The competition will be genuine. I don't think they're going to come in and fix the league. At least I don't think so. But do you think that the perception, because it's coming from the precipice of this, is coming from professional wrestling?
Yes.
People aren't going to watch because they think, you know what? It's probably going to be fake to begin with. It just so happened that LA won that first title, the biggest media market in that league at the time. Do you think that's the case?
This is how the XFL works. Real simple.
Tell me.
All you got to do is just have one of your WWE wrestling entertainments, extravaganzas during the football game, and you'll be able to get some fans there. And it'll have some interest. That's about the only way that I see it working. Because I don't think anybody's going to be there to watch them play football. Now they definitely would want to watch the wrestling match, and I think that's the only way that you're going to be able to make it work. And again, it has nothing to do with the actual football product, but it comes to the entertainment. So if it's going to be entertainment, entertain me. Entertain me. I love the wrestling matches. We can do that. Maybe we should have the football players wrestle. Maybe that'll make it more interesting. Put them in the ring. Yeah, let them do that. I think maybe that's about the only way that.
Okay, we're gonna have some fun with this because this is gonna be one of those agree to disagree moments. I think the league has a chance if he can attract good. Well, I think people are going to watch for the sake of watching, and I think they're going to learn from their mistakes. But that again, I want to ask you a question. If you were playing for the XFL. What would be the name on the back of your jersey that's not Johnny Walker? Remember, we had He Hate Me, we had all these others. What would be your name?
Oh, that's a good one.
Cool Breeze.
Cool Breeze?
Cool, C-O-O, B-R-E-E-Z-E.
It'd probably be, I don't know, that's a good one. I never thought about that.
That's too long. You can't put, I don't know, that's a good one. That's too long of a name.
That's too long. It would probably be Rico.
That's it?
Yeah, Rico Suave. I don't know. I think that would be a good one. Rico S.
Wow. Okay, Rico S.
Rico.
I like my name. It would be Gord, G-O-R-D, Ito. I-T-O, Gordito. Yeah, that's perfect for me, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess
that's it, baby. Gord, G-O-R-D, I-T-O, Gordito. Or Pan, P-A-N, so, Panson.
Right.
You know, the two,
But see, that's the thing, though, I think. Gabe, that's what I'm talking about. It would be gimmicky. But the only thing that people would be interested in is the gimmicks. And that takes away from the actual, for football realists.
Sure.
People who played.
I made your point, didn't I? I literally just made your point.
You made my point, yes.
Wow.
And that's exactly how we're going to see the XFL.
I would be a terrible attorney, wouldn't I?
I know, but you know what? That was a good sell. It was a good sell pitch.
The prosecution can say, the defense attorney just made my point, Your Honor.
No, it's a good sales pitch, and I wish they would be able to be successful. I wish they would be able to do that because it would be more opportunities for, like you said, people like Johnny Manziel or for Vince Young. It'd be a great opportunity for these guys to get back out and hopefully trying to get back to the NFL. So, but it's just not going to work. I don't see it happening. It's not going to happen. Good try, though. I like the Gordito.
I like a gordita. Yes, that's what I like. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're actually going to be talking real football. We're going to be talking about the NFL Combine. We're going to be talking about Lamar Jackson. Coming up next on Inside the Locker Room.
One in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
And welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Gabe Farias and Johnny Walker. Before we get started, I would like to offer one editorial note. Last week, we erroneously stated that it was Arizona State that provided the coach's infraction of calling, an alleged infraction of calling an athlete, offering him $100,000. I believe it was Sean Miller who offered the money, but he's actually the head coach of the University of Arizona. Our Sun Devil fans were not very happy. Our apologies to the Arizona State family. But it leads me to my first question, John, because we're going to continue this conversation of the NCAA's College Basketball Probe, where several coaches and several players are involved. The NCAA, now maybe I missed something, but the NCAA has really done nothing since the probe has been released, outside of Sean Miller taking a self-imposed game off, if you will. Nothing's really happened. What do you think's going on there?
Unfortunately, the NCAA is, like I've been saying this before, it's about money.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's about money. So if you take out some of the top coaches or some of the top players or some of the top teams, it's going to water down the basketball tournament. And by doing that, the television revenue is going to be affected by that. I mean, they're going to say, you're not giving us the product that we're paying for. There's definitely some links here. We're going to want some of our money back. Sure. We're going to have to make an adjustment to that. So the NCAA basically is just kind of tap people on the shoulder, or they're kind of playing this wait and see. Let's get through the tournament. And after the tournament's done, then we'll try to see what we're going to do as far as levying out any kind of game losses or whatever they're going to do.
Whatever's going to have sanctions
or suspensions, or whatever we're going to do after that. So that's kind of how everything is right now. That's how it's set up.
So you called it waiting and seeing. The way that I look at it is the NCAA is assessing the situation right now.
Yes, yeah.
I say that they're doing that because they're wanting to get one final product in the books before they lay the hammer down. Do you see that as the case? Do you see them saying we want to get the best of the best at least one last time so that we can lay down the hammer, lay down the sanctions to these schools, these players, these coaches that have committed these alleged infractions? Do you think that's the case? Do you think they're trying to get one more final product in before?
Gabe, the NCAA is not going to do that. They're not going to do that because I said they're self-motivated. They're looking out for themselves. So they're not going to do anything that is going to in any way kind of harm what the final product is going to be in college basketball. They're not going to do it. They won't do it. And that's what you see. The worst that they could possibly do is say we're going to take away some games, and we're going to say you didn't win a championship. And what we saw, what they did with the University of Louisville, when they were saying, well, you didn't win a national championship. Well, the players were very adamant. Well, I still got a national championship ring.
Sure.
We all got to watch them win a national championship.
Exactly.
So that means absolutely nothing. So the NCAA, again, it's all about making money, period. I don't care what anybody says. Let's just call it like it is. All they're cared about is making money. They're truly not looking in the best interest of the players or in the game, for that matter, as far as I'm concerned.
You know, and again, it all stems with the fact that they want the best of the best at the end of the year.
They have to have
for the ratings. They have
to
invested a tremendous amount of money in talent, in a product that's on CBS. Jim Nance is calling the games. You got Charles Barkley. You got all these high-powered. Kenny Smith is a part of this high-powered broadcast team. And it just centers around the tremendous amount of money that's developed through advertising. And if you're any of these advertisers, with all due respect to these programs, you don't want Arizona or you don't want Oregon State and Sam Houston State playing in the national championship basketball.
They will not accept that at all. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna ask for some of their money back. They won't accept that. That's why I said there's really no need for the NCAA anymore. There really isn't. They're not doing anything. They're trying to find. They are advocates for the best way and the most amount of money that they can make for these institutions, and that's all that they're going to do. So it used to be where I felt I had some confidence in the fact that the NCAA would level out some suspensions and try to do things to try to clean up college sports, but they're not doing that anymore because there's too much money at stake, and that's just the place that we are at now. And hopefully we find a way to get that taken care of in the near future.
We talked about solutions to the problem. Last week we talked about paying college athletes. We talked about setting up trusts when these college athletes graduate. You have a pool of money through a collective bargaining agreement that you have as a body of student athletes with the NCAA. We talked about solutions to the problem. You brought up an interesting perspective, though. You were interviewed by the New York Times a few years ago, several years ago. I won't give the year because I don't want to date you. But it was several years ago where the New York Times interviewed you as a senior at the University of Texas. You had already had 1 year in as an Atlanta Brave playing professional baseball. You were in the minor league system. You were getting paid by the Braves while still playing for the University of Texas, in essence, for free. Talk about that perspective. Talk about that interview, and talk about how that kind of was a sobering reality of, man, my time is worth something. Why are you not paying me?
That was definitely an eye-opening experience for me. during that interview, I was very candid and probably one of the first people to start speaking out about college players actually starting to get paid. I couldn't understand why. Here it is. I was considered an amateur in football, although I was a professional in baseball. And while I was a professional baseball player, I got paid for everything I did. And so when I got back playing college football and I realized how much time I was putting into it, how are you justifying that we're not getting paid for this? When I play professionally, I get paid for everything. So I said there has to be something that needs to be done here. This is not fair. I don't like the way this is going. And I still haven't understood how I could be a professional in one sport and considered an amateur in another when I'm still getting paid the whole time that I was playing baseball. Didn't understand that. Didn't make sense to me.
Interesting take. So offer to me your solution to this problem. Because this isn't just a college basketball program. This is their problem. This is a college sports problem. Right. Setting up the trust. But is that enough? Do you think that there needs to be solid government oversight to make sure that you have the big brother of the United States government overseeing, making sure you're doing the right thing, to make sure that the right thing is being done?
Well, I kind of back away from the government. I know that you say that word, it just brings so many other things that go along with that.
Sure.
And I don't like that. I believe that we can come up with an agency. I believe that we can come up with collective bargaining. And in that collective bargaining, we can determine what we're going to use that's going to be able to monitor what's going on in college sports. And I do believe that there needs to be they need to be separated. I believe you need to have an organization that's looking into college basketball, and you need to have an organization that's dealing with college football. And let's just be honest. I know that there are other college sports. I'm not taking anything away from that, but let's just be honest. Those two entities are the ones that are bringing in all the money. So those are the ones that I feel that need to be monitored the most, and those are the ones that I think that you see a lot of the illegal things going on. So once we're able to do that, and once we're able to get that group together, and I can't tell you exactly how we'll do it, but that's what we're going to have to do. And once we do that, then we can be able to start ironing out some of the choices and some of the things we need to do to make this more of a fair playing field for everybody that's involved.
That might be one of our agree to disagree moments, my friend, because I think everything that you said needs to be in place, but unless you have Big Brother overseeing, teams are still going to find ways to skirt the rules. We're going to continue this conversation future episodes, because this is one of those ongoing talks that we can talk about this all the time. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be chatting about the XFL. They are making a comeback. Will it work this time around? Coming up next on Inside the Locker Room.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now?
I think it's good.
Yeah?
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
No, you said make it bigger, baby. The bigger, the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Bye, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Gabe Farias and Johnny Walker. And Johnny, we're going from He Hate Me or Gord Ito
Rico
Suave to real football. NFL football, specifically the Combine. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson from Louisville here in just a moment. The Combine, you had a chance to participate in that. You were drafted to Green Bay Packers, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Talk about the Combine. Talk about your experience with that particular, facet to your life.
I tell you this. The one thing, it was an honor to be able to get invited and to be able to participate in the Combine. But when I was actually going through that experience, I did not like it at all.
Okay.
Because I felt like they were trying to find every little thing that they could possibly find out about you and any kind of negative information they could get about you. I felt like I was being picked and probed and asked and tucked and turned. I mean, it just wasn't a very pleasant experience because that's what they were doing. They were trying to find out everything they could about this player that had absolutely nothing to do about playing football. Nothing at all.
When I see combine, I'm going to cut you off, but when I see combine, I see you run the 40.
Yes.
How many times can you pump 215?
Right, exactly.
How high can you jump and knock the peg off the top? Yeah. I see that as a combine. What you're saying is that's just part of it. You can be the world's greatest athlete, but if they deem you somewhat mentally insecure, you're probably going to drop in the ranks significantly. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, they were asking a lot of personal questions. I mean, they were asking me, are your parents still together? How long have you been with your girlfriend? I mean, just questions that were just, are you serious? What does this have to do with playing football? But for whatever reason, then we had to take you had to take a test. They wanted to know what your IQ was. I was like,
was that the Wonderlic? Did they have that in place back then?
What does that have to do with playing football? So, and I can tell you, there were guys who tested wonderful. And I was like, okay, so I'll give you an example.
Sure.
40-yard dash. How fast can you run in a straight line? There is never going to be a time when I played football that I'm going to be able to run in a straight line.
Sure.
It just doesn't happen. So there were so many things. The broad jump. I said, what are we doing this time? There has never been a time where I was playing football where I stood on both feet and I just jumped as far forward as I possibly could. So, again, it's just something that they tried to create, that they wanted to try to put some kind of weight on to determine whether this person is an athlete or not an athlete. But my thing is this. If you can't see it on film, and if they're not able to do it on film, then they can't do it. And I don't care what anybody does. When you're talking about testing and running and jumping, I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Quickly, do you think that the Senior Bowl or these All-Star games, do you say that's a better gauge?
That is a better gauge of what to expect because you're putting the best of the best college players together and you're actually playing football. Because I can tell you, I have never been covered when I was running against air. I run some great routes. I've never,
You're undefeated against air, aren't you?
Undefeated against air. It never stopped me at one time. So that's why I say I just think that it's all semantics, and now they've made it to where they're making money off of it now. They're having fun with it now. So it's 6 days long as opposed to like maybe 2 days when I was going there. So, I just don't like it. I just wasn't a firm believer in the combine.
What's sad is I'm about 500 against air. That's really, really sad.
That's not good.
Yes, no, that is terrible. Let's talk Lamar Jackson right quick. The standout quarterback from Louisville. Right. We've seen him play. He is a fantastic quarterback.
Heisman Trophy winner.
He is talented, but there are some pundits, some NFL folks that say he's probably a better something else than a quarterback. Do you think he's a better something else, or do you think he can go in and be an impactful quarterback in the NFL?
All these naysayers about Lamar Jackson, they need to stop.
Okay.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Sure.
Incredible athlete. Yes, we do deem him into the athletic realm, but he's still a big-time quarterback. I can tell you that Bobby Petrino offense, and that was the head coach at Louisville, was similar to what they ran for the New England Patriots. So he understands the concepts and the things that he needs to do to be a great quarterback at the next level. So you need to give the kid a chance. I mean, for whatever reason, it's like they're taking away from the fact that he's fast, he has a strong arm, and he's an athlete. Well, what's the problem with that? So was Deshaun Watson, and we saw what he was able to do with the Houston Texans.
Absolutely.
So if you have to make some changes, some adjustments to what you're doing offensively, then for a kid like Lamar Jackson, you definitely need to do that because he's gonna pay big dividends in the end.
But Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, some of these more athletic quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, they still have, outside of Russell Wilson's height limitation, they still have some of that prototypical quarterback kind of physicality to them, their thought process and how they handle the position. I see Lamar Jackson as a guy who's just probably one of the greatest athletes we're ever going to see come into the league. Do you think that maybe moving him to a slot or maybe moving him to a wide receiver will be more beneficial to an NFL team versus having him as quarterback? You say, give him the snaps, let him prove his point. Let him prove that he's a great quarterback.
He's already proved it as far as I'm concerned.
Sure. Okay.
There's no question about how talented he is and what he's going to be able to do. And just what you just said is the same thing they used to say about Randall Cunningham. And we saw how great Randall Cunningham was when he played with the Philadelphia Eagles. So give the young man a chance. I think that he is going to show some people just how great of a quarterback that he can be. I think there's more upside to him. And I think the game is evolving. I think gone are the days where you can have these big, tall quarterbacks that can just sit in the pocket. The pocket's going to move. You're going to have to be able to move a little bit. And I think that he's definitely one of those quarterbacks that fits into the new game, the new regime, the new NFL. And I think he's going to do exceptionally well.
Your final thoughts on the Combine. Do you think that they need to change that systemic way of how they analyze players?
They're not going to change it. I think that it's become more of a show than it is anything else. And when we talk about show and tell, you could tell me by showing me what you do on the film. That's all I care. That's what I think that matters.
There you go. My final thought is give Lamar Jackson a chance. Give him a team to run, and you'll see some special things happen as they happen at Louisville for the Heisman Trophy winner. For Johnny Walker, I'm Gabe Farias, wrapping up this edition of Inside the Locker Room.